So today we're going to talk about continuous integration and continuous delivery. And today I would like to share the approach that I'm using in my project that I'm working right now. So a little bit about me. I'm from Ukraine. I'm living in the Kyiv, and I'm Dynamics 365 developer. I'm working with Dynamics last 7 years, and I was working in different areas like banking, telecom, agraria, and IT companies. So I've seen quite a lot of projects, small projects, big projects, and also international when we had users in different countries and so on. So, and the main problem of all this project is how we are going to deliver our solution to production.
Yeah. Just a quick side note. I noticed the photo you showed. It's from Kyiv, and that you are working for Infopuls. Infopuls is a subsidiary of Tietoevry.
Yeah.
Okay, back to your main problem.
Yeah. So the main problem, is how we are going to deliver our solution to production environment. When I have started working with Dynamics, the most common way that I saw it, this developers doing everything manually. So they just manually export solution from dev environment. So here I showed a small example where we have only 3 environments: dev, station, production. Of course, it can be much more. But let's review the simplest way, the simplest case, where developer take the solution from dev environment, then manually import the stage environment, and then if everything is fine, he importing this solution to production. It's quite simple process, but it has a lot of minus, like we don't have a change history of the solution. We couldn't understand why something was created and why do we have some process or anything else. Also, we don't control the version of solution. We have only the last version. We can get some previous version and so on. I think it's very important when you're building something that you publish in marketing and your solution are going to use many customers and companies. And also we have a human factor that developer can make some mistakes, miss up with solutions or anything else. And also it's time consuming. So it's not one-click action. Yeah, it's quite simple, but still it's time-consuming. So I will show the next approach that I've seen in my work, that the team decided to use repository for at least to have a backup of the solution and also to have old version of the solution. So it's become a little bit better. We have a backup at least. So if something happens, we are not worried because we have our solution. But still, everything is going to implement it manually, and it's still time consuming. And if we need to recover this solution from the repository, it also will take quite a lot of time and it's not convenient. So I have started digging into the topic and trying to understand how we can improve and what is the best process for delivering solution. And most of the scenarios that I found on internet, some different tutorials and explanation, and everything that I could find, that it's the first case. It's basically the first case, but manual work was automated using Azure DevOps. So what we are having here, it's basically the same process, but everything that developer needs to do, it's trigger the build process in Azure DevOps, which will automatically take the solution from dev environment, then save it in artifacts, and after that, developer can trigger the release to stage of production. And also, one of the steps also can be triggered automatically. For example, there is no need to release to stage manually. I think if we have already pushed, if we already trigger the build, we are expecting that the solution will get to the stage environment, so it can be automated. But in production, yeah, it will be manually, and also we can set some rules, like we can set some person who need to approve the release to production, and so on. What's wrong with that scenario? We still don't have a change history of the solution. We still don't understand what's going on. So when I think it's a common case when you have a question from the business, why do we have this? Why it's working this way? And who asked to do this? And especially if you're a new developer in some already existing project. And of course, we don't have version control. So I was digging deeper and decided to use this approach when we will use repository as the source for the solution.
So Alex, does it mean that the developer can sleep like a cat, right?
Yeah. It's at least
nothing to do.
Yeah, it's at least he is less nervous. Yeah, when he delivering the solution. Yeah, what's the difference between previous case? The difference that now developer take the solution from dev environment, unpack that solution to XML format. So we will have a lot of files in XML, and then push to repository. And that's mean every time we are doing, yeah, of course, we set commit and some description. Also, we can attach the task that we have in Azure DevOps. And that's mean each change will be tracked, and we can understand why we did and who asked to do this task, and so on. So we will have the history. Also, as we keep our solution in repository in unpacked version type, let's say, this means we can get any version of that solution. And what happens next? So when you push unpacked solution to repository, you can easily see the changes that was made in dev environment, and then Azure DevOps automatically triggers the build that takes all of unpacked solution from repository, then pack this solution, and then save it to artifacts. After that, when artifacts is appeared, it automatically triggers the creation of the release. And then we can push it to stage or production. So yeah, and I would say it's not so complicated. It's quite simple. Everything that you need is just to export a solution, unpack it, and push to repository. And I would say it's quite annoying process. And I was searching how we can do it in one click. I mean, not to push it, I mean, how we can export the solution, automatically unpack it, and then in one click, and then push to repository. And what tools can we use to build this process? So when I face this task, at this moment, I had two options. It's one of them in Sparkle Task Runner provided by Scott Durov, and another one it's Power DevOps Wild provided by Wild. I decided to use Power DevOps tools because it's already provided in Microsoft Marketplace, where you can configure all steps using user interface of DevOps, and it's easier to manipulate with everything and easier to build steps. In case of Sparkle, yeah, we need to create scripts and trigger the scripts in the steps. So I decided to choose Power DevOps tools.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you evaluate the Microsoft Power Platform build tools for Azure DevOps at all?
Yeah, I wanted to mention about this, that when I started to preparation this presentation, yeah, I have noticed that Microsoft also released their tool. But usually when you build this process, you build and forget about this until it's working. Yeah, but yeah, I would recommend to considering a new tool provided by Microsoft. Yeah, that's a good point.
I've been using it, and it seems to work pretty well. I can post the link to the chat if someone wants to check that one out.
Sure.
Yeah, I will show probably also too. So I would say, yeah, it was released in 2020. It's quite new tool, yeah, and I'm assuming it should be stable, yeah, and also comfortable to use. But I think, yeah, what you will see here, it won't be too different between those two tools. But yeah. So let's get started. Let's move to the demo where I will show you how I will make some changes in the environment, export to my local machine, and then push to repository. So I will close my. All right. So first of all,
we see the presentation now.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 moment. So first of all, yeah, I will show you the last screen. I decided to use the already implemented process provided by Power DevOps Hamzi, and he has already implemented this process, but of course it's implemented for DevOps. So, but I was decided to use it locally. So for that thing, first of all, you need to install this tool on your local machine using this script. And when you have this model, you can use all functionality of the tool locally on your machine. So after the installation, I was get the script of that step. It's called extract solution, that is automatically get the solution from environment and unpack locally on your machine. So I just took that script that is ready, and only what I need to do is remove CI toolkit where he's installing that tool, because it's not needed. I'm assuming it's needed for DevOps, but it's not needed for when you're using this locally. So I just remove this installation and prepare the script. So here I have this script of this tool. Also, this extract solution requires SDK provided by Microsoft. It's needed solution packages that is responsible for unpacking and packing solution and responsible for working with this solution. And then I prepared a new script that contains only arguments that I provide to that extract solution script. So it's not difficult. It's just argument that we need to prepare, where we have to set organization name, client ID, client secret. Client ID, client secrets. So for building these processes, you need to use application user that needs to be created, the organization, and it will provide you the easiest way to manipulate and build all processes. So here's the script that helped me to extract a solution from dev environment. So my next step will be, I will go to dev environment, and I will, for example, decide to make some changes in account entity. So I will create a new field. Save. No, okay, I'll refresh. Here it is, test field. Save and publish. And also, let's get back to DevOps. What's going on from DevOps side? So first of all, I need to have a task. So I have already prepared user story for that task. New form changes. And I will create a task. Create test field. Okay, and I'm planning to start working on that. Active. So now we have the task number 6. It's number 6. So after that, when I made changes in this environment, I will go to my script. Okay, I will put client ID in secret. One moment. Yeah, now when everything is ready, I will go to my local repository on my machine where I have already my solution. I will remove it. And then I will trigger the script. So the script will download the solution temp folder, and then will extract to my solution folder. I call it solution because generally you can work with several solutions. So, but in this case we have only one. And here it is. We can see our solution, extracted solution. Now I am going back to Visual Studio, where I can see all changes that happened in my solution. So I will stage it. So as I can see that we have a new field, and varchar type, name, and everything you can see. And then you can see that our form was changed. We have a new field on the form. So everything as expected. Then I need to put some comment. Account just created just field. And then I can attach the task, which is number 6. So I see the task, I see the changes, and then I push to repository. So what happened next? Now we go back to Azure DevOps. Now we can see our link to our changes that we made, our commit. We can open it and clearly understand what has been changed during this commit. And then we will go back to pipelines. Here we see the build has been triggered automatically as soon as I push the changes. It's working right now, and still it's working. Here I will show you all steps that we have in the build. First of all, we need to install the PowerDevOps tool. Then I set a new version of the solution. You can use a build number to configure the build number. You need to go to the options of the pipeline and put the template where you can use the number and the number of the build. And then you select unpacked solution from the repository. You can do it manually like that. And then push to artifacts. So save in artifacts your packed solution. So I'm assuming it has been finished already. Yeah, it's finished successfully. Then we go to release. So as soon as we got new artifacts, the Azure DevOps automatically triggers the deployment to stage environment. So until it's working, I will show you steps that we have here. So here we also need, so building each process, you need to start all the time from installing the tool. Then we ping stage environment to check that everything is fine and we can deploy the solution. And here we have the import step where we can select our solution from artifacts. So you will see this and you will be able to choose it. Then you can configure everything that you need, depends on how you're working and what options do you use. And then after the import step, you need to publish everything. Here I'm also using application user to do all the steps. There you can use arguments, variables, where you can configure in this section variables. Client ID, client secret, you can log this value so nobody can see it, and add any additional variables that you need. So let's check. Now I see that everything is fine. All steps was proceed without any mistakes or issues. And I see it took 2 minutes. Now we can move back to our environments. I will open now stage environment and check, do we have these changes? Right now I don't see it. Let's refresh the page. I hope we will see it. Yeah, fine. Now we see that this field appears in stage environment. So everything that I need to do, it's extract solution to my local repository and push to Azure DevOps. And after that, everything was triggered automatically and delivered to stage environment without any steps from developer side. And then if everything is okay, you can manually trigger to deployment to production. So this is the approach that I'm using to maintain the solution and to deliver it to production. So yeah, that's it.
Hey,
Any
thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
That was really, really interesting. I have one question. You are now pushing unmanaged packages to staging, right?
In this case, that I'll show it's pushing managed solutions. So I'll show. So the solution is we are pushing managed solution in this case.
Oh, so you were okay. So you were actually getting the managed package.
Yeah,
in the demo.
I'm
okay.
getting managed.
I missed that.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
So here we can see, yeah, it's managed solution.
Cool.
Yeah. Any questions? Anyone else?
I can see the audience is having questions. I can read from the chat. So when to use DevOps? Is it for big project only or maybe smaller one as well? Maybe.
Yeah, I think it depends on the resources that you have. So in some cases, you don't have Azure DevOps in the company. But if you have, I would recommend to use it because this approach has a lot of benefits. So you can track the history, and I wouldn't say it's complicated. Yeah, once it's set, then everything that you need, just see how it's working. Yeah. Yeah, also this approach requires to understand Git. Yeah, but I think, yeah, it's also shouldn't be a reason not to use that approach. Yeah. So my recommendation, yeah, to use in any projects, regardless the size of the project.
Well, I think the benefits are obvious. I have another question from the audience. So what about Canvas apps? Are they supported can they be?
Currently I didn't use it for Canvas, but I know that Microsoft tool that was created previous year, yeah, it allows you to use it for Canvas, for deployment Canvas. Yeah.
Yes, Canvas apps work as well when you have them in solution.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yep.
Yeah,
go ahead,
Philip from Digia. Hi. What if it's embedded Canvas app or you have an embedded PowerUp inside? Because then, at least if I remember, we tried to do a proof of concept and we ran into a problem where, because they are tied by a GUID, then you would need to manipulate that GUID so that it would work in the new environment. If it's embedded.
You mean if the app is embedded somewhere?
Yeah, for example, if you have a customer engagement form where you have an embedded Canvas app and you would move that, then that tie is managed by GUID, which is then when you move it to another environment, it generates a new GUID, and then you might run into a problem there. So that GUID generation should be done during the pipeline processing somehow.
Yeah. Or then you have to find out the new GUID and replace it in the solution package before.
Yes.
Yes. So it's,
and the same issue you would have with a Canvas app that uses flow, which Canvas app triggering a flow from inside a Canvas app. Basically, you would have the same issue there. So there's those problems.
Right. There's a question.
I think it needs to be investigated because, yeah, I wasn't work with Canvas and I wasn't built any continuous delivery for that part. Yeah, but.
So Terho, I think there's a question from Juho.
Yeah. So if consultant would like to move customizations, can he use this solution without Azure DevOps license? Basically, I think you can do part of this with just the PowerShell script. That, of course, you need to have a repository if you want to have your source code versioned.
But at least for if you don't have VS license and you get access to Azure DevOps, you still don't see the repositories and you cannot input anything there. So that was the reason for this question.
Yeah, well, I'm not an expert on Azure DevOps licensing, but maybe you can consider using some GitHub account or something.
Yeah.
Okay, we are a bit over time because we're still.
No, we are right on schedule. This has been planned like it is.
Okay.
All right. No surprise. This was expected.
All right, excellent. I just wasn't part of the planning committee.
Yeah, no, you were not. So thank you for the great presentation, Alex. And as you say, did you say that it takes 1 day to learn it fully, right? or maybe more?
It depends on your experience. Yeah, if you have already met with Azure DevOps, yeah, I think it shouldn't take 1 day. Yeah, for me, for example, to build this example, it took less than 2 hours, and of course, I had some issues. It never be perfect, even when you know everything. But yeah, this is kind of what you place once, yeah, and then it's working and helping and saving your time during the whole development. So yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, so 1 day.
Okay.
If you have
Right.
experience.
Okay. That's an optimistic thing. Anyway, thank you.